Hi there, ready for another round of real-life tales that are stranger and scarier than fiction. I've scoured the depths of the internet to uncover 5 more bone-chilling accounts from people who stared evil right in the face and lived to tell the tale. Story 1: The Highway Stalkers. Imagine you're out for a fun night of ghost hunting with friends. A little spooky trespassing, a few nervous giggles, harmless fun, right? Well, for one group of friends, an innocent adventure took a horrifying turn. Their night started with exploring a creepy bridge, trying to summon restless spirits. But then they noticed a car parked on the side of the road. As they got closer, the car suddenly roared to life, headlights glaring like evil eyes in the darkness. The friends sped off, hearts pounding, but the car gave chase. Flying down twisted backroads, the friends pushed their car to the limit, desperate to escape their pursuers. In a moment of sheer terror, the stalkers pulled up beside them and pointed something out the window, a gun. The friends thought their lives were over. But by a stroke of luck or sheer adrenaline-fueled skill, they managed to evade the attackers and hide, shaking and crying, until the coast was clear. The lesson? Even a harmless thrill-seeking adventure can turn deadly in the blink of an eye. Those dark and winding roads hold secrets, and you never know what sort of evil is lurking, just waiting for the right victim to cross its path. Story 2: The Smiling Intruder. Home invasions are the stuff of nightmares, the idea that even in your most sacred space, you're not safe from the outside world. For one woman, this nightmare became a heart-stopping reality. It started as a typical night, curled up in bed with her dogs. But then a sound jolted her awake, a long, eerie scraping noise. As she peered out into the darkness, her blood ran cold. A tall figure was dragging a knife along the side of her car, grinning maniacally. The woman screamed, sending her dogs into a frenzy. She cranked up her seat, heart slamming against her ribs, ready to make a break for it. But the intruder stood in front of her car, trapping her. He held up a butcher knife, waving it almost playfully, like a cat toying with a mouse. In a burst of desperation, the woman laid on her horn, praying someone, anyone, would hear her cries for help. But the man just smiled wider, unfazed. After what felt like an eternity of terror, he slowly walked away, melting into the darkness. The woman tore out of there, shaking so hard she could barely steer. She thought she'd found a safe haven on that quiet country road. But evil doesn't discriminate between bustling cities and peaceful rural areas. It can strike anywhere, at any time, and when it does, all you can do is fight for your life and hope luck is on your side. Story 3: The Creepy Crawl Space Dweller. When you buy a house, you expect to share it with your loved ones, not a hidden intruder. But for one unsuspecting family, their dream home came with a nightmarish surprise lurking beneath the floorboards. Strange things started happening not long after they moved in. Food would go missing from the fridge. Odd noises echoed through the walls at night. The family chalked it up to the quirks of an old house, until the day they found a hidden crawl space beneath the kitchen. Curiosity turned to horror when they realized someone had been living there in secret. Ratty blankets, empty food containers, and a makeshift bed sent chills down their spines. How long had this person been creeping beneath their feet, listening, watching, biding their time? The police were called, but by the time they arrived, the intruder had vanished like a ghost. The family was left reeling, their sense of safety shattered. Every creak of the floorboards, every unexplained shadow, sent their hearts racing. They'd been violated in the most intimate way, their home, their sanctuary, tainted by a faceless invader. They tried to move on, to reclaim their space. But the crawl space remained, a yawning darkness that whispered of untold horrors. The lesson? Even the most unassuming places can hide terrible secrets. The monster under the bed, or in this case, under the kitchen, might not be so imaginary after all. Story 4: The Gas Station Stalker. Late-night shift work can be eerie enough without adding a stalker to the mix. But for one unlucky gas station attendant, a routine graveyard shift turned into a waking nightmare when a customer became obsessed. It started innocently enough, a regular who would chat her up, always friendly, always smiling. But then the gifts started appearing. Her favorite candy, left on the counter. Flowers delivered weekly, with no name attached. Flattering at first, until she realized just how much this man knew about her life. He'd drop little details no casual acquaintance should know. The route she took to work. The specific decorations on her front door. Each tidbit sent a new chill down her spine. He was watching her, studying her, but for what purpose? She tried to laugh it off, to diffuse the tension with jokes. But his demeanor shifted, becoming more aggressive, more demanding. He'd corner her at the register, towering over her, insisting she give him her number. He trapped her in a nightmare of her own politeness, exploiting the unspoken rules of customer service. Management brushed off her concerns, until the day the man snapped, throwing things and screaming when she denied him once again. Suddenly, they took notice. But it was too little, too late. The damage was done, and no amount of security cameras or banning orders could erase the scars of being hunted in her own workplace. Story 5: The Phantom Roommate. College is a time for new experiences, new freedoms, and sometimes, new horrors. For one student, the excitement of living away from home for the first time took a dark turn when she realized she wasn't quite as alone as she thought. It started with little things. A book left open on her desk when she swore she'd closed it. The lingering scent of unfamiliar cologne in the air. She chalked it up to the stress of classes, the lack of sleep, until the day she found a strange shirt mixed in with her laundry. Confused, she asked her roommate if she'd had a guy over. But her roommate just stared at her, baffled. She'd been out of town for the weekend, and no one else had the key. A creeping unease settled in the pit of the student's stomach. She started noticing other oddities. The way her furniture seemed to shift slightly when she wasn't looking. The sound of footsteps pacing in the empty room above hers. And always, that faint whiff of unfamiliar cologne, like an invisible presence watching her every move. Fear turned to terror the night she woke to the sound of breathing, and realized it wasn't her own. In the darkness, she glimpsed a figure standing at the foot of her bed, staring down at her with glittering eyes. She screamed, and the figure vanished, but the memory of that night would haunt her for years to come. To this day, she doesn't know who or what her phantom roommate was. A ghost? A hallucination? A real-life intruder, creeping in and out of her space like a living shadow? All she knows is that sometimes, the most terrifying monsters are the ones we can't see, the ones that invade not just our homes, but our minds, leaving us questioning our own sanity. Well, there you have it, 5 more true horror stories to keep you up at night. Don't forget to smash that like button if you enjoyed this spine-tingling journey, and hit subscribe for more terrifying tales.